morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, now Wednesday, number 22 day for the month of March 2023. My name na Capo Daniel, wona own countryman, Mr. No Connie, Ambazonian FBI. Wona welcome to our daily podcast, a program where they bring una the truth, meaningful information, fact-based analysis for help we as we waka for this journey to our freedom, to the independence of Ambazonia. Good people of Ambazonia, the title of this today episode for our podcast will be titled, Only the Truth Shall Set You Free. And indeed, only the truth shall set you free. It is with great sadness in our heart, and that expresses the feeling of most Ambazonians after watching our people lining up like refugees or people in those days in Somalia during the famine, lining up behind bags of rice by poor ATANGA Nji, the house slave that have been adopted from Ambazonia by Paul Biya to be used simply because he is a school dropout and an example of a fool. Ambazonians have a lot of elites, people who have gone to school, but for the one to be given the post of the territorial administration, to choose a former convict from the Douala New Bell prison, a Form 3 dropout and a con man, ATANGA Nji Paul as a minister, if that is not an insult to Ambazonia, to find that ATANGA Nji Paul comes to the capital of Ambazonia in Buea and line up our people like beggars to give them bags of rice. It's a very sad picture indeed. Our people in the Atlantic state have suffered. They have suffered a lot. Unlike the people in the Savannah state, where the defense of their territorial integrity and their honor have picked up steam with a sustainable manner, we have not seen the type of kale collective punishment without any action against the colonial administrators and the colonial occupation forces in the Atlantic state. But we see our people being routinely in their hundreds, at least 400 in each kale round, from Buea to Ekona, Mato to Ndian. The people of the Savannah are routinely harassed, taken to Cameroon military posts without any excuse, tortured, humiliated, ransom taken from them, and they are released, and they come back and do the same. Few times we have seen the bravery of the ones like the one who took up stones to hold Cameroon military and kill them on the street when they killed baby Caroline, a young baby who was going to school. The people of Buea, the people of the so-called Southwest have suffered a lot. One would have think that an area that has low rate of Ambazonian attacks against Cameroon occupation, that area would be an example of peace and dignity. But instead, it is a place that have suffered the highest number of kale and humiliation. As we speak, over 84 of our civilians that were picked up in Maoto for no other reason but simply because La République du Cameroon, they wanted to catch them. They are still in jail. Only 15 of them have been released. This came just a month after the mothers in Ekona rose to their feet to protest when they were refused to give even food to their children that were massively picked up in Kale, some of them taken to Kumba, others taken to Buea, and we heard some are now in Douala concentration camp in New Bell. Children for committing no crime other than the Cameroon government knows that they want separation. They are supporting Ambazonia. Of course, they are Ambazonians. It is but natural that they are guilty of supporting their own liberation. The people have suffered enough. It is a humiliation to see our people, our brave people, the Bakwere people, line up behind bags of rice. It is indeed a sad picture, and it shows us the true state of our wealth. We are indeed a conquered people. We are indeed slaves in the hands of the Cameroon government. It has not been long ago since a Cameroon government minister, during an official visit to the victims of the Boya mountain race organized by the Cameroon government that seeks for political purposes to organize a mountain race in the middle of a war and deliberately draw our people in the line of fire between their forces and Ambazonian freedom fighters. They know it was a trap. They know Ambazonian forces will be provoked and will act. It is predictable that they know that Ambazonian will not stop without taking an action against that mountain race. But they draw our civilians in the middle of the fight. And when those civilians felt collateral damages, they went to the hospital. The Cameroon ministers came into the hospitals with CRTV journalists walking behind their back. They visited victims of their crimes, people they have used as human shield. And they made a promise to them: we are going to take care of you and show you that you are one of us, only to turn their backs after the cameras have gone away and allow those patients. One of them, a lady that is called Linda, she was abandoned on the hospital bed with first-degree burns on all over her body to die without even common medication for pain. During the minister's visits, they put a single drip on her body, and they told her family to go out, that they have to take special care of these people, and the Cameroon government will pay for their food, pay for their medical bill, and will give them money to go back home. Their family allowed those people to stay in the intensive room, and they were all abandoned after the cameras have left. Their family were kept out of the hospital. They did not buy them food, and this woman was dead. She was dead, found by somebody who came into the room to clean the room. She died without anybody to comfort her, without her family members close by, because the Cameroon government came there for the purpose of propaganda, remove her family from providing the basic care that we know we always provide for our people, because there is no government in that country. Because they want publicity, they want to deceive the people and tell them that they care for them. They remove the care, and according to the doctors, that woman died because of negligence and abandonment. She didn't die because of the bomb. She didn't die because Cameroon used her as human shield to do propaganda. She died because she was abandoned of negligence, because Cameroon government simply wants to show pictures that they care for people in the hospital. And today, as I can tell you, none of the victims' hospital bill have been paid. None of them have received a single meal, but for 2,000 that were provided to them for food on the same day that the Cameroon minister visited them. Today, we have a flood that we say it is a Passam motto have spoken after the spilling of innocent blood, when Cameroon B officer with his 12-man squad, John Eko Eweme, went to the house of Mr. Linus Fonte and Bu with one other person and removed them simply because they opposed the kidnapping of people in Mauto. They brought them and killed them. Because of that innocent blood, the god of Mount Ambazonia in Mount Fako spilled out his venom of anger through the flood. And after the people have gone through the loss of property and the death of one young man, ATANGA Nji Paul of La République, the devil himself, comes and gather our people, line them up. Oh, what a shame. Our Bakwere people knows no dignity anymore. It is a shame to see our people line up like refugees, people who don't have farms, with bags of rice to be taking pictures. It is really a shame. It is really a shame. We remember the same La République government brought in food to be handed to the people of Uku after towns were burned. Hospital was burned in Uku. The people of Uku took those food and burned them up and say, we don't want anything from you. This is a disgrace. It is an insult, because we know it is all for the follow-up, the pictures, and they don't care about you. A lot of times we get misconception about the divide of Ambazonia. It was for the good. It was for the good indeed, why the British government decided to divide Ambazonia into two. At that time, it was two provinces, because since the British government took over our territory, and we became an international personality recognized by the international community. Between 1916 to 1921, there was really basically nothing. The British administration, they just abandoned the territory for local chiefs. They call it indirect rule. It was in 1921 where we were really attached administratively to the Nigerian Federation, and they started to do studies about our culture, our uniqueness, and it was in 1923 where the laws of Nigeria started to be applied in our country. That is when they created the constitution where they call Order in Council for the Cameroons. That means our territory was seen as two different distinct territories. The northern part, because of its Muslim and history with the Yola kingdom of the Hausas, were seen as a natural region to continue living together with them, because that is how the outlook was. And for us, Ambazonia, the British Southern Cameroon, were now being styled as an administration. The whole debate was they tried to create us local governments. We have what they call local government, which was resisted by our people who saw themselves as distinct from the Nigerians, and we wanted district. So you had Ambazonia was the only place where we had a local government attached with district, and we have local chiefs that were also involved in doing administrative work for our territory. It was only after the World War that we had a proper reform of the system and really have a formal system of governance in our territory. One may ask, what does all this have to do with what is happening? Just bear with me and I will explain a little bit. Ambazonian had divisions. We have province and then you had divisions, unlike Nigeria where they had states, because we had always resisted becoming like Nigeria. So instead of using the local government, Ambazonian had insisted that district should be used, and that was how it was expressed. So you had two provinces that we were divided into two provinces. The province of Bamenda, and you had the province of Boya. Bamenda was the capital of the province of Bamenda that includes all what we know today as the Savannah State, or what La Republique called the Northwest. And you had the Atlantic State, the province of Boya. And they thought that the population in Bamenda was very strong and very powerful, and had a very strong tradition of what the German used to call Vons, which we call today Fonds. That means heritage of palaces, or people who could self-govern and even protect their borders, and had unique identity, administrative identity that are attached to their culture. So Bamenda was seen as a strong indigenous identity that they were afraid of right from the beginning. That's why they call us today the Bamenda, the Ambazonians Le Bamenda. So they know the strength of Boya is Bamenda. They know it from the start. And the Catholic map is actually more perfect, because the Catholic will consider us as the Bamenda diocese. They still consider it the Bamenda, is it diocese or whatever they call it. So it was in 1949 where we had this division, but Bamenda was never given what we call governor, but in those days they call it a representative of the British government, to a commissioner to govern over Bamenda province, but one was given to Boya. Bamenda was meant to be neglected so that the power of the people to challenge the British government will be reduced. So you have to minimize Bamenda for you to succeed to rule over Ambazonia. Basically, that is the case. And even in Bamenda, you have to minimize the man-con-man and strengthen the Nkwen-man for you to be able to dominate, because Mancon was always seen as the strong hand for Bamenda. That's why you see Foncha adopted the identity of Nkwen-man, and they make sure that the administrators will always discriminate against the Mancon people. It has always been that way. So for us to reverse this thing, we have to strengthen the Mancon man, and we have to strengthen the Bamenda man, and the Boya person have to turn to Bamenda and say, you are my strength. And indeed, the Bamenda man is the strength of Boya. We are indeed the power behind Boya. The enemy seeks to use your strong point to diminish it so much that you will have to diminish it yourself. But we have to know that we are in a new generation, and we must be more complex to handle such complexity, because we will need these things to get out of this quagmire. and this disgrace that we have found ourselves in. So, fellow Ambazonians, we had two provinces, the Bamenda province and the Buea province. They were separated administratively. The Bamenda province was separated by subdivisions. That means you had two subdivisions, the Wum and the Nkambe, which were subdivisions or district, as we called it in Ambazonians. Our elite insisted to call it district. We had two districts in Nkambe and in Wum. And in their land, in the Buea province, you had the Manfe district, which they created the capital later in Kumba, and the Victoria district. So these are the four districts that we had within these four provinces. And that is how we were ruled. Each district had its own assembly. They had their subdivision or district assembly that deliberates on issues. And then we had a national assembly in Buea of our chiefs, the House of Chiefs and our legislature. That was a perfect example of how an African man could grow, because the British had no intention to assimilate us or to turn us into British people. So we had the best system of Africans governing themselves. And we had the only school of local government that was created in Buea that was training administrators on how to govern African countries, from Ghana to Zambia. They all came to Ambazonia to study in Buea this model of administration. Today, our people are confused. They don't know whether the people are calling the one to call county. We don't know where all these things are coming from. Someone to call us like the one from La Republic. We must know the truth, and only this truth has set us free. Our people in Buea must be proud of the people of Bamenda, who are their strength, rather than the Bulu people who have come and taken land in Buea. You have a Bulu village in Buea, and they are treating us like slaves. Look at what they are doing to our people. The people in Mauto, in Ekona, Indian, that they are humiliating. Are these people Bamenda people? No, they are our indigenous Bakwere people. They are our indigenous Bakwere people. This is humiliation. Sometimes we need to look at our situation and say where we must come out of this situation with La Republic. When we look at ATANGA Nji Paul lining up our people on the street with bags of rice, and we know very well that it is only for pictures and videos, for propaganda, we must say where we don't suffer. We are indeed slaves. We are less than third-class citizens, as we used to call it. It is up to us to fight to separate ourselves and to liberate ourselves and have real freedom. They don't care. They have systematically, deliberately make us to think that the Bamenda man should be ashamed of being a Bamenda man. They have made our people in Buea to think that the Bamenda man is their problem. No. If there is any hatred or any tribalism against anybody in Buea, the true one will be the Bakwere against the Bayangi people, not the Bamenda, because the Bamenda man is their strength. The Bamenda man is the strength of Bakwere, is the strength of Bayangi. That is what it is. That is the truth. And we will fight for them, and we will protect them. We will comfort them as they will do for us. The people who have called me to cry about the desecration of the land of Bakwere by Moja Moja are all Bakwere people. Are all of them Bakwere people. The person that Linus Fonte was fighting for were the people of Mauto. They were not Bamenda people. We must rise up, and we will do the right thing. We will do the right thing. It may be a Bamenda ADF soldier who is going to eliminate the threat of Moja Moja. But there should be a race of who is going to be the first one to bring him down. We all know that he is a killer of innocent people. He has desecrated the land. He has brought the wrath of a Pasamoto upon the land. He is indeed from hell, a masquerade of the true Bakwere people, of the true Ambazonian spirit in Buea. He is the devil, the replacement of what is honorable and what is good. And we must, like any other person, put this behind us so that the Egyptians we see today, we may see them no more. Capo Daniel, looking out for you, signing off.